Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hopefully y'all are having a great week. I appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode. We are in a different location right now. We are in my living room. I'm calling this couch edition. My tackle corner is a mess. Kind of wanted to change it up a little bit. Anyway, today is episode number 3, the final episode of What's in the Bag. And so we're going to get into that here in a minute. Also, just a little bit of an update. Now that I have a new phone, I might have mentioned that in the last video, but I can't remember. So anyway, I have a new phone now. I have a lot more storage, better camera quality, and it has a great battery life. So now that I have this, I'm gonna start doing some on the water stuff. So be looking out. The next couple videos are gonna be probably some bank fishing videos, some out on the boat. I'm working on the boat. My engine is not running right, so I'm having to do a little bit of work there. I think I gotta change out the fuel pump. But anyway, now that I have this better phone, we're gonna start doing some on the water stuff. So if you guys have any suggestions for different angles of the boat that you would like me to do, you know, I mean, it's just a phone, so I can only do so much, but I figured just the back of the boat centered, that way you can see everything, you can see where I'm fishing, and you can see all the moves I'm making, everything like that. So let me know if you guys have any suggestions. If you use a phone to do your videos, please comment below. Give me some tips and advice for that, because videos on the water are going to be coming very, very soon. So I'm very excited about expanding my channel, kind of getting out of the tackle room, if that makes any sense, and getting out on the water and hopefully teaching somebody something or learning something myself on video. So anyway, but without further ado, episode number 3, the final episode of What's in the Bag. Okay guys, welcome back. So this is what we're going to be tackling today. Ha, get it? Tackling. But anyway, this is my main catch-all bag. So this has a ton of stuff in it. I'm pretty sure that you've seen this bag in a video before. It's pretty much the same, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of what it's kind of set up for and what I have in here. And it's a little bit of a mess, but just bear with me on that. There is a method to the madness. So anyway, we're going to start with the front pocket right here. This one is pretty basic, but oops, getting tangled up. We're going to start with the front pocket. By the way, these Plano tackle bags are really, really, really nice. They're a good price and they last forever. I think I've had this one for probably 3 or 4 years now. Great tackle bag. Highly, highly recommend, especially if you're a small vessel angler. You know how I use the pond prowler. This is great because you can carry a lot of stuff in it, but small vessel angler, bank fisherman, this is easy to carry around. So highly recommend the Plano tackle bags. But anyway, in the front pocket here, I just have some spare leader line. So this is the O'Hara 100% fluorocarbon. I usually keep some of that on there between 17 and 25 pound. So I have a good variety. For my leader line, I usually go a little bit heavier, but and then I also have some more O'Hara. This is the 15 pound actually, so 15 to 25 pound is usually what I use. So 20 and 25, I'm good with either one. There's not that much of a size difference on them, so I will use the 25 or the 20 for heavier leaders, if that makes any sense. If I'm, you know, in a clear lake situation, there's a lot of visibility and I'm flipping and pitching heavier cover, sometimes I'll throw a leader on there. Helps me get a couple extra bites. But anyway, so pretty basic on the front, couple extra spools of leader line. I also have a random mess of stuff in here. Here, see, here's some more fluorocarbon, just extra leader line, little pair of snips. These things come in handy. I have my Rapala, I believe they are. Yeah, Rapala, like scissor style braid snips that I keep in the boat as well, but these are a nice backup to have. These don't work as well for braid, in my opinion, but they work really, really good for monofilament fluorocarbon. Smaller braid, like 30 pound braid. So when you get up into the 65-pound braid range, the scissors that I have, the Rapala ones, they really, really work well. I'm sorry, they're not Rapala, they're Bass Pro Shops brand. So I have seen Rapala, and I think I've used Rapala before. They're basically the same thing, but they're just a little serrated pair of scissors with the red handle. They work great for heavier braid. These work fantastic for the smaller line. I just keep these in here just in case I need them. Now, you may think I'm crazy. Black Sharpies, okay? These have two purposes. I use these not only to, on my identifier code when I am doing the CPR method in a tournament, excuse me, in a tournament, these are what I use to write down the code of the day for submitting your fish or taking the pictures of your fish. So that's the first reason I keep some Sharpies. Also, sometimes in certain situations, especially when you have a little bit older braided line set up on your rod and reel, it's a little bit faded. So sometimes I will actually color in a foot or two of my braid just to darken it up, just so there's, you know, especially in darker water, there's not a chance of that braid being super visible. So I will do that. And even in clear water situations, if my braid is super faded, which, I mean, braid is still good even if it's faded, it just looks a little bit worn. But I do carry these just in case I find that the fish are being a little more finicky. I can color in that braid, make it a little, you know, harder for them to see it. But anyway, that's two purposes for those. And if I need to sign an autograph, haha. Okay, this is my Snap-on Phillips screwdriver. This is the number, what number is this? I think this is a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. This screwdriver fits 99% of the Phillips screws that are on reels. It fits the Phillips screws that are on my remote for my motor guide XI3 trolling motor. It fits the screws on that, and it's just handy to have it. So if I need to take anything or tighten up a screw on a reel, if I need to take a reel apart for some reason, I have this. And also for if I need to change batteries out on my trolling motor remote, I've got it. So I always keep that in the bag. Super glue. I keep a thing of super glue. This comes in handy. So if you have soft plastics that, you know, you've caught a bunch of fish on a worm that you've been using, and it's your last one, and it's starting to kind of come apart, it's got some tears in it, you know, it's just, you've caught a lot of fish on it, but it's the last one and that's the only color they're biting, repair the worm a little bit, get 1 or 2 extra bites out of it. Also, I use this to glue up trailers on my swim jigs, chatterbaits, things like that, because you can put a little bit of a little dab of super glue on the nose of the soft plastic you are putting on, whether it's a spinnerbait, chatterbait, swim jig, just a football head jig, whatever you're throwing. You can put a little dab of this on the nose of the soft plastic or around the hook keeper on your jig, and it will keep your soft plastic on there a lot better. So you don't really have to switch out your soft plastic near as much when you do that. So always keep a little thing of the liquid Loctite super glue. And then my little diamond file. So you've seen this in a video before. It was actually my first video that I ever made on this channel, was my little hook tip about putting the flat spot on the barb of the hook. I always keep my little flat diamond file with me so that I can do that to all my worm hooks, EWG hooks, flipping hooks, even treble hooks. If I'm finding that they're slinging those trebles too easy, you can do this to each little barb. It takes a little time, but it locks that fish on those hooks. So that is a handy tool. This is a Harbor Freight brand. I bought a little kit of these from Harbor Freight for like $5. And this is a great investment to have. Even if you want to have a couple different ones, you can, you know, have different shapes. You can have the triangle file, round file, flat file, whatever. And they come in handy, especially for that hook tip. So always keep my little file with me. Other than that, I might keep some extra spare batteries in here. I might keep a little pack of AAAs and AA's. The AA is mainly for when I need to change the batteries out on my little nav light that I have on my pond prowler. I have just a little battery powered nav light on that boat. So I have extra batteries in case that goes out. I also keep extra AAAs for when my remote batteries for my trolling motor go out. So keep a few extra batteries in there as well. So let's move on. That's about all there is in the front pocket. Like I said, just little tools, some extra leader line, batteries, things like that. So moving over to the side pocket, this one literally is just kind of a minor first aid. So some of you may know this about me, but I have what doctors call sensitive nose tissue, I think it is. So when you have that, you have random nosebleeds. So I've had them all my life. My dad had them too. He kind of stopped having them after he got a little over 30, but mine haven't seemed to stop yet, other than, you know, certain times of the year with the weather change. But anyway, so I have random nosebleeds, especially when it starts getting into the real, you know, hot part of the summer down here in Florida. So I always keep a bag or a couple bags. This one is just a big wad of paper towels in case I cut myself and I need to get some blood or I have a nosebleed. I always carry that with me. And I also have some Band-Aids for minor first aid or anything like that. Or if I get a hook in me and I need to pull that hook out, I can at least put a Band-Aid on it, you know, cover up the wound. So anyway, just basic first aid stuff. Nothing too special about that one. But it's rare that I use it, but I use it when I need to. So it's there if I need it. It's kind of like the open tournament I did with my dad at Lake Buffum this past Bass Lunker season. I had a random nosebleed, and so it was pouring blood, like couldn't get it to stop. I had those paper towels, so that helped me out a lot there. I was able to grab some paper towels out, plug my nose up, and keep on fishing. We ended up doing pretty well that day. So anyway, good to have. It seems very simple, but really, really nice to have that. This other side pocket, I'm not even going to open it up. It is literally a handful of bobbers or floats. The reason I have these is because sometimes I'll be out bass fishing and, you know, for fun, and come up on, hey, there's a bunch of bluegill here. Dang. Maybe I should bluegill fish. And it never fails. Before, I didn't have the first float. I didn't have the first small hook or anything like that. So now I always make sure that I have some little split shot weights, some little hooks, and some floats just in case I want to get on a little bluegill or shell cracker bite. So anyway, not really necessary for tournament stuff, but it's nice to have them. Kind of random. Now let's get into the big main center pouch. So what I like about this box, or this bag, it keeps my stuff super, super dry. It's very rare that I get moisture in here. The only time I ever do is if I'm fishing in the rain. It does get rain in it when I open up the boxes or open up the tackle bag, but I mean, that's going to happen with anything. So extremely waterproof. This thing is great. It has the waterproof bottom on it. Has a little rubber grip so it doesn't slide around too much. But anyway, really, really like the tackle bag. So main pouch. One of the main boxes in here. This is one of the main reasons that this box always stays with me. This is dang near all of my terminal tackle. Now, I do have some extra flipping and pitching stuff that I keep in the backpack that I showed you guys, the diaper bag. So I do keep some of that stuff in there, just real close to some of my main go-to flipping and pitching baits. But this is 99% of my terminal tackle in this box. And I know this doesn't seem like a lot. It's way less than I used to carry, but I've dialed it down to where I can literally have this one box of terminal tackle. So in here, and this is just the little Bass Pro Shops boxes. And let's see where I want to start. We'll start right here. One of the main things, this little box right, or this little compartment right here, has my main worm hooks in it. So this is a mix of 4/0 and 5/0. I typically keep both, and I can tell the difference. So these are going to be either Trocar, the Laser Sharp Pro Series hooks, and I do like the what's the other? Vector. I think it's Vector hooks Really like those hooks as well. They're very similar to a trocar, and I really like those. Sometimes I find them on sale at different places, so I will pick those up as well. But these are my main worm hooks. I keep in that little compartment right there in the front. Now this compartment, I usually keep, I need to restock my bobber stops. I don't have any more in this box. But my bobber stops, I typically keep those in there. My punch stops, I throw those in there. And also, that should not go in there. That's in the wrong box. See, I told you it's a mess. I have some of the, I believe these are 6 cents. I'm pretty sure these are 6 cents. These are the pre-rigged Carolina rigs. These are really nice to have. It's really simple. All you do is tie this on your main line and tie you on a leader side and a hook. And this is already rigged up. It has the nice glass beads on it. And I think these are 1/2 ounce, so it's a good all-around Carolina rig setup. I keep 2 of these in here. It's rare I fish a Carolina rig, but sometimes I do find myself in a situation where I can't get them to bite anything else. So if I find some deep structure, or I find like a little ledge or something like that that is holding some fish, I can throw that on there if they're real finicky and catch a fish like that. And these store in a box really easy. I don't have to carry beads, the swivels, and all that I would normally use for a Carolina rig, and I don't have to try to rig that up. I can just tie this on real quick. Tie that on real quick and go with that. I also have a couple Tokyo rigs in there as well, which is nice to have. So you can put whatever size weight. I usually go with anything from a 3/8 to, no, I do go down to a quarter. So 1/4 to 1/2 ounce tungsten weight on the Tokyo rig, and then put whatever soft plastic. So that's kind of nice to have for certain situations. If you've got a little bit of a silty bottom, you can throw this and you can get that worm closer to the bottom without picking up a bunch of junk on the actual soft plastic, which is nice. So I keep a couple of those in there. The next compartment over is I'm trying to find one that doesn't have line tied all over it, my EWG hooks. Now, I usually stick with a 4 or 5/0 EWG because everything I use an EWG hook for the most part, is going to be heavier braid, a heavier rod, things like that. So this is either going to be my topwater swim baits, like the Zoom horny toads, different frog style soft plastics, even flukes. If I'm throwing like a Magnum fluke or something like that, I'll throw it on this. And so I usually keep 4 or 5/0 EWG hooks. Now these are I think these right here are the Laser Sharp Pro Series. And then I believe these are the Jason Christie Pro Series hooks. And I do have some trocar in there. And I have, I think it's just trocar and then the Laser Sharp. I think that's the only EWG hooks I have in here. There might be a few Vector, but I'm pretty sure these are all Laser Sharp and trocar. Same company. Now over here, in this next pouch over, so the one right here next to it, I have my flipping hooks. Now, there's a little mix of flipping hooks in here. I have some 3/0, some 4/0, and some 5/0. I usually keep a little bit of both, 4 or 5 hooks of each size. But these right here are the Mustad. Now, I can't remember the name of these for some reason. Mustad Alpha Point. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. They're one of my favorite treble hooks to use. But the Mustad Alpha Point flipping hook. And what's nice about these, they put that little, I guess that's like an epoxy, that red epoxy up there to cover up the gap on the loop. They also put this nice little like tack welded bait keeper. I'm trying to get it focused. There we go. You can see that somewhat. But anyway, nice little metal keeper. It helps keep that soft plastic, whatever, crawl, creature bait. So those are really good hooks. I like the points on them. And these, I usually don't have to do too much to the barb. I will still, file a little flat spot on the barb because they are a little bit sharp. But these are great hooks. I haven't had any trouble with them. They're really, really nice flipping hooks. And then I also have I'm pretty sure these, I think these are Trocar. I think these are the Trocar. Now these might be an older Trocar because I bought a bunch of these hooks a long time ago and have just been kind of weeding through them. I mean, they're really good hooks. They've got a really big bait keeper on them. They seem to work pretty well. And they're a little bit shorter shank than some of my other ones, so I can put smaller creatures and crawls or, you know, whatever on that, which is nice. So I keep some of those. And then I have the big boys. Let me get these out. Now these, I'm trying to remember the brand of these. I'm pretty sure these are Owner. I think these are Owner. They've got a nice like thread wrap around that with a little loop bait keeper on there. But these are a little bit longer shank, so I can use these on some of my longer creatures and my crawl baits. And I can even throw like a Cinco. If I want to flip a Cinco, I can throw this on, or throw that on this hook. So nice to have those too. So I keep a little variety of flipping hooks because, you know, it all gets, you know, it all depends on the situation. When it comes to tungsten weights, I have one compartment here that I have a ton of different tungsten weights in. So I have, and I do have a few lead weights in here too. I have some of my lead 16th ounce that I like to use for certain, you know, if I want to get that slow fall, slower presentation, I just get the little either 16th tungsten or 16th lead. They didn't have any tungsten the last time I needed them, so I went ahead and got some lead. They work just fine. I also have some 1/8 ounce tungsten right there. So I have 16th ounce lead or tungsten. I have 1/8 ounce tungsten. I have some 3/16 tungstens. I also have some, where are they at? Trying to find them. There we go. Some 1/4 ounce tungstens. And then I go straight from the 1/4 ounce. Sometimes I'll have some 5/16 or some 3/8 ounce, but I usually don't use 3/8 much anymore when it comes to tungsten, but I usually will have some. I don't see any in here right now. I might have them in another bag or somewhere, or I might have them in the boat. But anyway, boy's screaming. He got in trouble. But this is my favorite all-around flipping weight. So this is a 5/8 ounce tungsten. It's a little bit heavier than 1/2 ounce, but not quite as bulky as a 3/4 ounce. He is not happy. Sorry for that, guys. But anyway, so I like the 5/8. It kind of gives me in between the 1/2 ounce and 3/4, because sometimes I'm just flipping Kissimmee grass. I really don't need 3/4 ounce, but 1/2 ounce, sometimes the Kissimmee grass is a little bit too thick for the 1/2 ounce to even get through. So a 5/8 ounce is a great go-to. This is one of my favorite flipping weights. And of course, you know, if I have to, I will go up to a 3/4, 1 ounce. I rarely fish anything heavier than that. Usually the lakes that I'm fishing, I'm not fishing super thick mats. So, and even with a 3/4 ounce, if it's still a little too thick for that to break through right off the bat, all I got to do is shake it a little bit and it'll drop through. So tungsten weights. Next is one of my favorite little setups. I do have some tube hooks in here as well. Every now and then I do fish a tube, but I keep my, where are they at? Trying to get one out without stabbing myself. So this is a Jean LaRue, can't remember what it's called, but it's got a little swinging football head on an EWG hook. These are awesome for just throwing a Texas rigged worm on, or even a creature bait. But these are awesome because they have so much action. The hook is free swinging, and especially dragging on ledges, shell bars, anything like that. These are awesome. Even brush piles, they work good in brush piles as well. If you're just fishing the outer edges, or you're getting just into the brush pile a little bit, or it's a thinner brush pile, it's not as heavily, I don't really know the word for that, heavily wooded, I guess you could say. These work great for that as well, but it just gives it a little bit different action. Sometimes, you know, when you're throwing a regular Texas rig, you've got just a tungsten weight on there with a worm hook, pegged, whatever, and you're throwing a Texas rig, you know, they see that a lot. So throwing something like this gives it a little bit different action and gives that bait a little more freedom to move around. And sometimes it'll get you a couple extra bites because it's something they don't see all the time. So I keep a couple of those. I keep the 7/16 ounce. I like that for getting down there a little bit faster. And I also have quarter ounce Jean LaRue swinging, whatever you want to call this. So I can't remember what it's called, but these are awesome. They're a little bit pricey, but they're really, really worth the money. So move over from that compartment. There's a lot in this little box, guys, so bear with me. I have a couple different little shaky head style jig heads. So this is a flat bottom one. So if I'm fishing, you know, a shell bar or fishing just a flat, you know, up against a bank, or if I'm throwing it up under a dock and I'm just kind of wanting it to sit there, kind of a hard bottom situation or sandy bottom situation, you can throw this and throw a floating worm and it will sit straight up like that, and that worm will just go crazy. So I always keep a few of those. I also keep some regular, and these are the VMC, just regular little shaky head jig heads. I think these are a 2-aught hook. I think they're 2-aught. So because I'm usually throwing these on lighter gear anyway for skipping under docks or, you know, casting off of shell bars or whatever, or onto shell bars. And they just have that little twist lock on there for your worm. You can see that a little better. There you go. So these are great to have. And I believe these are 1/8 ounce. I think these are 1/8 ounce. So I keep some of those. I also have some of these, and these I haven't really used that much, but I like them a lot. I've got some wire wrapped around this thing, but I have used them, have caught fish on them. They're just kind of nice to have if I want something with a little bit of extra stability, that, you know, if I've got a silty bottom and I just want it to kind of sit on top of that silt. These are awesome. They have little kickstands on there, little wire kickstands, and it will stand perfectly up like that on the bottom, and it won't allow this to get buried into silt or, you know, a murky, muddy bottom or whatever. So those are kind of nice to have. I believe those are 2-aught as well, so I keep those. But yeah, so just a little variety of shaky head stuff. Now moving over, you never know when you're gonna want to tie a swivel with a little snap on it. If you're going through crankbaits, like let's say you're on a school of fish, you're trying to figure out what they're gonna bite, so you're switching out your crankbait a lot, you're going to different, you know, depths, you're going to lipless, square bill, deep diver, whatever you're going to. Even if you're throwing like a swim baits on a swim bait head, you can throw this on there and run through baits really quick just to figure out what they're biting. And then of course you can take this off and tie it directly to your line and continue fishing. But this is nice if you're planning on switching up the bait a lot, just to try to figure out what the fish want. So I keep some of those in there. They're nice to have. Also, like with spoons, if you have any spoons in your boat, you can switch over the spoon really, really quick just to figure out what size they're wanting or what color they're wanting. So kind of nice to have. But anyway, I have some of those. Now over here in this pouch, I have 2 different things. I have some of these. These are one of my favorite drop shot weights. Reason I like these is they do not get hung up super easy because they're real skinny and cylindrical, but also they don't sink all the way down. So if you do have a little bit of silty bottom, the whole weight won't sink down into it. It's kind of tall enough where it might get through that silt and then hit the actual bottom and still leave it out of the silt, if that makes any sense. So just a couple drop shot weights. I don't fish a drop shot a ton, but sometimes I do find myself in that situation, so I always keep some of those in there with me. And I also have some of my Nico hooks. Now, these are nice to have. These little Nico hooks, you can do a ton with them. You can actually throw a Nico rig, or you can throw a wacky rig on these. They have the nice little plastic weed guards on there, so you can throw a wacky rig on there. You can put this on a drop shot and have a little bit more of a weedless drop shot, which is nice to have. And it has a little bit bigger hook profile, so it all just depends on what you're doing. But there's a ton you can do with this, so I always keep some of those. Moving over, I keep some of my big bad boy weighted swim bait hooks, or weighted belly hooks with the twist lock on there. So I use these a lot for Magnum flukes. If I'm throwing that, I use it a lot for swim baits. I have also thrown a big Magnum speed worm on these, and sometimes it's just a little bit different presentation if you're just swimming it, and you want to come through grass a little bit easier. You don't want your weight up front and your knot and all that, jazz getting in the way, or a bobber stop. This is kind of nice to just make it a little bit different with a Magnum speed worm. So there's a ton you can do with these, mainly for swim baits, but I do keep those. I believe these are Owner. And then I have my nice VMC ones, if I can actually get one out. Then I have some VMC, which are nice. So, but yeah, some weighted hooks. Next over, I have some more beast hooks. These are for my big swim baits, big things like that. Even if I'm flipping a really, really big, girthy bait, this hook you might need that extra penetration to be able to hook the fish. So these are nice to have. These are just the standard hooks. I think they literally call this the beast hook. But anyway, so I've got some of those. I also have some Ned rig heads in here. And I have two different sizes of the Ned heads. Now I like these from, I believe these are VMC. No, they're not VMC. I can't remember the brand. Dadgummit. Maybe I ought to keep labels in here. But anyway, so little Ned heads. I love these weedless Ned heads like this. They come in handy, especially here in Florida. We're fishing a lot of heavier cover. Sometimes these save your neck. But anyway, these right here will save you a lot of the time with those little weed guards on there. So I like to keep these. I keep 16th and 1/8 ounce. I usually don't fish much lighter than that when it comes to a Ned rig. So, but anyway, 16th to 1/8 ounce. These are nice little Ned heads to have. I do have some smaller belly weighted hooks, and I keep a few extra of the screw lock or the twist lock keepers on there, or in here, just so I can put them on this. But just some smaller belly weighted hooks if I want to put a smaller swim bait or something like that on there, or even a regular speed worm like I was talking about earlier. Instead of doing the Magnum speed worm, just do a regular Ultra Vibe, and you can get away with something like that. So I keep some of those in there. And then again, here's some more of the smaller, if I can get one out. Those twist locks kind of get tangled up sometimes. I promise I will get this off here eventually so I can show you. There we go. Okay, so again, some of the smaller weighted hooks. These are the VMC again with the screw lock, and those have that little spear point in the center, which helps you center the bait on there. So nice to have those. I'll throw those on all kinds of stuff. Then I also have these. Now these, don't judge me, they're off Temu, but these are great little hooks. They're just a little, I think they're a 2-aught, kind of a longer shank, almost Nico style hook. But these work great for a wacky rig, especially for skipping docks. They have the nice spring metal keeper, or a weedless deal on there. So that helps you from getting hung up on the dock post, and they still come off nice when a fish bites. So those are nice to have. I think I got like a pack of 100 of them for like $3 or something. So good little hooks, actually. And then I have 2 packs, last but not least, I have 2 packs of the little Wacky Rig O-rings. I keep clear and black. Right there, there's a pack of black. So I keep both of those. It's just nice to have some spare ones of those. So that's it for the terminal tackle. Next, we are gonna go to the box that I keep mostly my jigs in. So this is in the same compartment, just the second box. This one has a little variety of stuff in it. this whole center row here, nothing but jigs. I have some swim jigs. I have football head jigs. I have some of the flat casting jigs that have that flat head on them, so they sit on the bottom nice. I also have a couple flipping jigs in here, and I keep my Matlock jigs in here. These are awesome jigs. I don't know if I've ever showed you guys these. I get them at Bridgemasters, but these are really, really well made jigs. So really nice kind of arc. I think that's considered an archy style head. Okay, this is where these jigs shine. Those weed guards, they're like a thick, almost acrylic material, but they're really, really great weed guards. They are really good. You know, a fish can still bite down through there, but they're a little bit tougher material. So if you're fishing through heavy cover, those are awesome. But love the Matlock jigs. And then let's see. Other than jigs, I have a random selection of frogs. I have a little Spro popping frog. Got a, I think this is a Berkeley. Yeah, the Berkeley swamp toad. I have that in there. Just a little assortment of different frogs. That one's kind of gummed up a little bit, but I need to fix that skirting material right there. It's got something sticky on it. But anyway, just a little selection of frogs. I have the Guggen. It says "Eat Me" on the top. Little Guggen frog. And then I cannot remember the name of this one. I got this one in one of the raffles with bass lunkers. This is a cool little frog. I haven't fished with it a ton, but it has a great little pop-in action. It's at a real small, you know, little recess right there for a little bit of a popping action. It walks really well, and also the eye is a tube that runs all the way through the body, and you can replace that. But I don't know if you can hear it. It has a little one knocker in there. So kind of a cool little frog. So just a little variety of frogs. I don't really have much of a variety of colors in frogs because down here in Florida, for most lakes, white, yellow belly, or black. That's pretty much what you're going to be using in Florida when it comes to frogs. So now, I also, this is random for this box, I know I have jigs and topwater frogs in here. I also have some spook style baits. So this is the head and spitting image. Let me get I got some sharp hooks on there. Those are the Gamakatsu. But nice little walking bait. I put me a feather treble on there. So got those. I've got just the Super Spook, the Super Spook Junior. I like to keep one of those. I also have a good old classic hula popper. They're a great bait. They get bit. And then I have two of my favorite. I don't carry very many jerk baits, okay? I just don't. I don't fish a jerk bait a ton. But when I do, it is going to be one of these two. And these are my two favorite. So I just throw them in here because I only keep 2 or 3 jerk baits in my whole box. The 6 Sense, that thing is awesome. Has a great action. Now, here's a little tip. This thing had a really, really shiny, glossy finish on it when I got it, which there's nothing wrong with that. It works really well, but sometimes a little bit too much shine, it's kind of unnatural. So what I do is I just take a little bit of Scotch-Brite, scuff it up a little bit and kind of dull the paint in certain areas. You know, leave the eyes, leave the gills shiny, maybe the belly, leave it shiny when it does that roll motion. But I do sometimes scuff those up just to make it look a little more dulled down and natural. And then this is my other favorite jerkbait, and I can't even remember the name of it. The Pointer 112. And I did the same thing with it. It's just a little bit dulled down with Scotch-Brite, but a little bit of purple in there, translucent, and then it's got chartreuse. I always catch fish on that. Okay, for the next box, I've got some random stuff in here, just like the other boxes, but there's a method to it. It just works for me. Some of this stuff kind of relates to different areas that I would normally fish. So I have a whole section of just white flukes. These things come in handy so much. Just standard, kind of that off-white Zoom Super Fluke. I also have some X-Zone rat tail style flukes. These things are awesome. I have some, they're kind of that off-white with gold flake. So just a little variety. Also have some baby bass color. So just a little variety of flukes. I don't use a ton of flukes. Different colors. There's usually certain colors that just work for me all the time. Got that one right there for real clear water. Nice color there. So good little selection of flukes that I have in this box. I also have, if I can get it out, treble hooks. They're fun, ain't they? Okay, I also have Magnum. Well, this isn't a Magnum spoon, but it's a bigger size spoon. I would consider this Magnum. I usually wouldn't go anything bigger than this just because I don't fish them that much, but I do like to have one. I'm pretty sure this is a 3/4 ounce, might be a 1 ounce. Yeah, I think it's a 1 ounce. 1 ounce. And I love throwing these. These are great. So I usually keep one of those in there. And I do have another one of my, which actually it goes in the other box. I just happened to throw it in this one. But this one goes with my other spooks, if I can get it out. And this is just a little Heddon. I believe this is the Super Spook Junior, but it's a bone color, which is great to have. And it's a nice loud knocker. So I do keep that. And usually in the other box, but I have a little mix of stuff here. This is probably my favorite square bill that I have. If I can get it out of here. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. It's a tangled mess. But this is one of my favorite square bills right here. And it's a Riot Baits. Can't even remember the name of it. Riot Baits. I cannot remember the name of this to save my life, but it is just a little chrome with a little like green back, a little bit of chartreuse in it. If they are chasing smaller shad, this is a great bait to throw if you find they're chasing smaller shad. So I always keep one of these. And like I said, I really like the action of this bait. It's got a nice tight wobble to it, not too wide, but really good little square bill. I don't throw a ton of square bills, but I do like to keep this one handy just in case. And like I said, I kind of keep it separated from my other square bills and stuff I have, because a lot of times I will go to that one versus some of the other ones I have, just because I really like the bait. So, and then I don't know why I have a feather treble on this, but the good old, this is the Cotton Cordell. Just the gold with black back rattle trap. This is one of my go-to lipless crankbaits. I love this bait. Sorry for the lighting, guys. The sun's coming through the blinds now, but hopefully it's all right. But that is one of my favorite go-to rattle traps right there, lipless crankbaits. Love this bait. Always keep one in my box. So that's pretty much it for that box. It's kind of a little go-to of different stuff that I would use on ledges and, you know, deeper water schooling bass situations. So that box. And then last, this is the last box. This is literally just soft plastics. So I keep all of my speed worms in this box. So I have some net baits. I have some Googans. I have just some of the Zoom Ultra Vibes. Some more Zoom Ultra Vibes. And I usually keep some June Bug or June Bug Christmas in there as well. So just some of my main speed worms that I keep in there. Of course, I do, like you saw in the other videos, I have some speed worms in my other bags, but just some standard little speed worms there. And then I have a whole pouch or a whole compartment right here that I typically keep my little soft plastic toads in. So I've got some of the Guggen toads there, just some little Zoom horny toads, black. These are some of the Bridgemaster brand frogs. Those are good little frogs. More Zoom horny toads. Just in a little variety of colors. So But I don't fish with soft plastic frogs a ton, but I do like to have a little assortment of the colors just in case, because sometimes, you know, you do get on a bite where they're just specifically wanting a certain color or a certain style of bait. So it's good to have them, and I do enjoy fishing with them. So, but anyway, guys, so that is it for the Plano tackle bag. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you have any questions about the stuff in the bag, let me know. And I will do my best to answer the questions. Please like and share the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. Like and share, and subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot of good stuff to come. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope y'all have a blessed rest of your